I'm just going to lead you through the steps of creating a Windows 10 virtual machine using Microsoft Azure. First step is to create an account with Azure. And so if you're a student, I think you can just type Microsoft Azure for students. You can search for that in Google. You get some options here. This third one looks like it's in Canada, so I'm going to pick that one. Canadian students. And then when you're now here, looks like you can just click activate. I haven't been through this, I'm not a student myself. And it looks like in my case, it's coming up already, recognizes my Microsoft account on my computer with Carleton University. So you can proceed on like that, and you should eventually get a way to create an Azure account that I think will give you about a $100 credit as a student. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back. So that's what you do. You got to first create an Azure account. Once you have that, looks like you can sign in. Oh, alternative, if you're not a student, you can also get a free account for 30 days for anyone. I think you can go get that through this link here. I already have an account, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in this case, with this Microsoft account that I have at Carleton University. It's going to ask me to log in to my Carleton account, which I will do. Whoops, I'll get it right. Okay, and then I'm going to have to authenticate again. This code here, okay. And now I'm logged in. It shows me up in the upper right here that I'm logged into my account. And beside that, there's a link to the portal. That's where you want to go to start doing stuff with Azure. So here I am on the main page. What I'm going to lead you through is creating what's called a virtual machine. So this is, I'm going to go through here. So if I go into virtual machines, I think I can, I've set it up so I don't have any right now. So if I click the add button, I can add a virtual machine. And then it's going to ask you a bunch of questions. It's going to lead you through a bunch of questions to set up this computer. So first you're going to have to pick a subscription. I imagine if you coming in here with a free trial, there'll be something here about a free trial subscription, but there should be something to pick there. And a resource group, not sure what that is. It looks like it's already set up for me. Either that's got a drop down or you have to create a new one. It looks like if you come in here, there's no choice. Create a new one, put a name in it. I've just got one called Windows Virtual Machine. Then give it a name to your computer. So I'm going to call this, Win 10. Is it going to be happy with that? Looks like it is. For my region, I'm going to pick Central Canada because I'm in, it's the closest region for me here in Ottawa. Is it happy with that? Let's just see. No redundancy is required. The image. So this is where you tell it what kind of a computer you want to run. We're going to pick Windows 10 here. The Pro version, spot instance, we say no. The size, we can change the size. I think this default seems reasonable. Not sure what other offerings there are up here. It's got a cost per month, but that's a cost if you're running it continuously. You'll see in a minute it's not nearly that expensive. But this has got 2 CPUs and 7 gigs of memory. I'm going to suggest we just start with that. So let's just take that and a username. So this is going to be your login name. When you are logging into the computer, it'd be just like what you sign in to a Windows computer or a Mac. You have to have a username. on mine, for my computer, I use something like this, but you can put it whatever you want. And my password, what am I going to put in that? The same as I have on my desktop computer. See if it's happening. No, it doesn't like my desktop computer password. Too simple, I guess. Do that. Doesn't look like I'm long enough. No, let's just try. I got something long enough. Okay, so I've got my passwords. This is what you're going to use to log into your virtual Windows 10 computer every time you sign in. And we're going to allow this port so that we can get into the computer over the internet. And next I'll click next then, and we'll go on and we'll pick what kind of a hard disk we want. And this is a solid state drive. I don't think we need that. We're going to scale down to just a standard hard drive. I hope that's a little bit cheaper. And we can eventually add extra disks. I don't think we'll need this. This is just, I don't actually know the size of this. We'll have to find that out maybe later once we fire it up, but we'll take the default. And under advanced, I don't think there's anything we need to know about there. So let's go on to next, to networking. So here, I'm not sure if there's anything we need to change. I don't see anything. Might come back to this later, but let's just leave this screen. So click next. And security, I don't see anything in here except for the auto shutdown. This is really important. So this is going to turn your computer off every day at some point in the day to make sure you're not running it without knowing. So every time you log into a cloud computer, you're going to start it up and it's going to run. And while it's running, it's going to cost you money. And so there's this tendency to forget to turn it off when you're done using it. And this is just sort of a fallback that it will shut it down at some time. So I'm just going to make it shut down, say, at, pretend I'm a student and I'm working late to get that assignment in. So maybe 11:59 p.m. That'll be the shutdown time when it shuts down. And this is, let's take the time zone. I'll put it into my time zone so it doesn't shut off at the wrong time. So that must be, I'm going the wrong way. We're getting into Eastern time zone. So it's going to shut down at midnight. Notification for shutdown. Sure, that sounds good. Okay, so that's all we had to switch on here is turn on the auto shutdown. Next on to advanced. I'm not sure. I don't see anything here. Tags. I don't see anything here. So it's going to try and create this machine. We'll see if it's successful. So you can see here that the computer I've actually created costs me 18 cents an hour when I'm running it. There'll be an extra additional charge just to hold on to the disk space while I'm not running it. I think that's probably going to be about $20 a month base fee plus 18 cents an hour or so when I'm actually running it. That all sounds about right. Let's just see if we can create a new computer. Sometimes it gives you warnings or errors when it does this if you don't have all the configuration, minimum configuration done. And this can take a couple minutes, so I'm just going to pause here for a sec. Oh, yeah, it's going to take a couple minutes while it figures all this stuff out. Okay, so after a few minutes, screen updates to say your deployment is complete. It takes a few minutes. And so that means it is ready to be used. I'm not sure what this does. Oh, it goes and shows you. So I clicked on that go to resource button, and it now shows me the details for this particular virtual machine. But I know that I can get there normally I'm coming back to my computer. Here I am back at the main navigation screen. And I went in here before to virtual machines, and it lists my virtual machines. So here's this virtual machine, Windows 10 I called it, and it's running right now, so it fired it up. So I can click on the hyperlink for it. I think actually I can check it here, and you can start it. It's already started, or we can stop it when we're done. But let's go, we want to connect. It looks like I have to actually go into this screen. So here I am in the virtual machine with it running. Again, I could start it if it wasn't started, and stop it. So it's running right now, but I need to connect into it. So that's what this connect is about. So to connect into one of these virtual machines, if you have a Windows computer and you're trying to connect in, Windows comes built in with something called Remote Desktop, and it will just work, as I'm going to show you in a minute. But as I discovered the other day when I was setting this up for some Mac users, if you're on a Mac user, you have to download something and run it on your computer first for it to be able to use Microsoft Remote Desktop. So I think it was Remote Desktop Mac. Let's just see what that says. So here we are, allow Apple Remote Desktop, Microsoft Remote Desktop 10. That's what we want. So there's where we're using Windows 10, so I assume that you want Microsoft Remote Desktop 10. So somehow you have to download this. It's free, and put it on your Mac. Okay, so you have to go and do that if you're on a Mac, but I'm not. So, but once it's there, apparently I think things work the same way. So I click Connect, and I'm going to do this RDP, which is Remote Desktop Protocol, and I'm going to download a Remote Desktop Protocol file. So it's a file. I go click Download, and it's fired this up. And you can put this thing anywhere. It's a temporary file. I'll just put it in my documents here. There's that Win10 RDP. So if I double click on this, it will try and remote desktop into my machine. And I just say connect here. And here's where I have to enter the username and password for the computer that I gave earlier, right? In my case, it was this, and I think after some trial and error, I ended up here. Okay. And it's saying the cannot be verified. We don't care about that. So we just say yes to this question. And what it's going to do is it's firing up, connecting to that running Windows 10 machine in the cloud through my desktop. And it looks like it puts it in sort of full screen mode by default. But this, if you look at it, it's basically this remote desktop application that's allowing me to run the Windows computer within my real desktop. And the same would be true on a Mac. But if I make it full screen, it feels like I'm actually on the computer. And so here it is, because I just set this up, it's as if I'm running Windows 10 for the first time. So these are some Windows 10 setup questions. I don't know what they all mean, but they all sound like things that I don't really care about. Sending stuff to Microsoft. I'm not going to do any speech recognition. I don't care about location. I mean, you could do that if you wanted, but this is a working computer, so I say accept, and here it is. I've got a sort of network. What's it asking me here? LP discovered by other on this network. I'm just going to say, I'm not sure what the implications are of this. We'll say no because I don't plan to have it on a network. And I've got a Windows 10 computer here. So it doesn't have much on it. If we go down to Windows Explorer, right, we can look at the disk for this computer. And remember, It set it up with one C drive, and I wasn't sure how big it was going to be. Let's just see what it did. It created a 120 gigabyte hard drive. So not too big, but not too small. That seems probably 100 gigs. It seems like it's going to be plenty. For now, there is a way to add to that later if we want, but I'm not going to get into that today. But we shouldn't need to. And so this is my cloud virtual machine. And so usually the first thing I would do is I got to get some software on here. I mean, it comes with some shopping app, it looks like. A lot of use that is. Probably got some form of email here. I'm not going to use any of those. But the one that I am going to use is I want a browser. I want to get out to the internet. So it comes built in with Microsoft Edge, which you may or may not like. Here's, I can go wherever I want. So I'm on the internet here. I can go to Google if I prefer to search from Google. And so here I am. So store now. Let's just see. So in my case, I prefer Chrome. So probably the first thing I would do is download Chrome onto this computer. So you can imagine, you're going to have to download and install Chrome. I'm not going to take the time to do that. But once you had that down, you would have a Chrome icon here, and you could do the rest with Chrome. But in the interest of time, actually, why don't I just pause this for a moment, and I'm going to put Chrome on myself. Okay, so I just finished downloading Chrome, and so if I look here under whatever this thing is called, the Windows control menu, here's Chrome. I'm just going to pin this to this. Oh, that's not where I wanted. I want to pin it to the taskbar. Leave it there too. Put a bunch of garbage on here, but I don't really care. So I can fire up Chrome. It's asking me if I want this by default, so I'll say yes. It's probably going to ask me some other stuff. But let's just try and get out of this so we keep moving. So here I have Chrome now. So my preferred browser. And so I can go and download other things. So one of the things that we're going to need to download is to use SynchroSim on this machine, is we're going to have to download the SynchroSim software. So for those of you in my landscape ecology class, I asked you to download an older version of SynchroSim, not the current version. So it's down here, past versions, Windows, and I think I said 2.0.44, because your assignment is written for that version. So it's gone and downloaded it, and over here I can select open to run the setup program, and hopefully, so this is typical of what happens with SynchroSim, especially these older versions. It says it's an unrecognized app. I'm going to say more info, and I'm going to say run anyway. Okay, because we trust it. And then it will take you through, and I'm going to carefully read the license agreement and agree. And I click close, and it should have now installed SynchroSim. So to find SynchroSim, there it is, recently added at the top. Again, I can pin this to the taskbar, and it's got an icon down here now for SynchroSim. If I fire that up, and there you go. I've got a version of SynchroSim running on my cloud computer. So let's now close this, close all this stuff. Let's say I can now run this computer however I like for as long as I want. But as I said before, when you're done, you got to shut it down. So the first thing you can do is on this window, the most desktop application, you can just close this thing down. And all you're doing here, though, is you're disconnecting from the cloud computer, not actually shutting it down. So we'll do that first. And then the important thing is to go back to your Azure dashboard here and find this Win 10 machine. You could be back over here, and or you could be, as I've said here, or you could go into the details of it. But the important thing to do is to now stop it. So do you want to stop Win 10? And I'll say yes. And you see up here, it takes a minute or two, I think, to stop the thing. So we're going to let it stop. I'll pause. Oh, has it stopped it already? No, it's still doing something. This I don't really like its progress bar for when it's stopping, but I'm going to pause for a second, come back when it's stopped. Okay, I'm back. And so actually, while I was waiting, I could have clicked on this notifications button, and it would have showed me the progress of it stopping my machine. It took about 5 minutes to stop it. Incredibly long time to stop a machine. But that's what it did for me right now. So you have to be patient with it. Sure, you could log off once you've said stop and not have to watch it, but I did. So there you go. My machine, virtual machine, stopped, and you can see over here. Well, it's still saying deallocating, but I think if I refresh, yeah, it stopped. So the machine stopped. So there you go. I'm done with this virtual machine. Next time I come back, I log into my profile. I end up at this home page. I go into virtual machines, and I can select this thing and start it, this virtual machine, and start it up. The other thing you can do is you can look at your cost management here to see what your charges are. So what I see here is it looks like showing me $4. I'm not really sure since when. If I look at this in a little more detail, looks like this isn't very useful. But if you poke around in here, you should be able to see what your charges are. I'm trying to see if I can get something interesting here. So here's an example. Here's the storage. So I have a $4 storage charge since February 1st. It's the 7th. So it's costing me, as I said, about $5 a week just to keep the machine, the disk alive. So $20 a month, which isn't inexpensive. And then on top of that, you'll get charged 20 cents a minute, it looked like, no, an hour, when you actually use the machine. Okay, so that's the end of my tutorial on using Azure. Of course, if you're going to run R on your Azure machine, you'd have to go and install R and RStudio, both of those on the machine as well. But you can install as much software as you like on this virtual machine, and it will be there the next time you log in. Okay, thanks. Bye.